What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Caden, or Cantina Talk, and today we have episode 8 of Comic Talk, and today we have a very special guest, John Nania. He's a world-renowned stunt performer, director, and actor, and chances are you've definitely seen his work, you just didn't know it. This is going to be part 1 of 2 of this interview. We have over a 2.5 hour long interview, so part 1 is going to be roughly an hour and 15 minutes, and then tomorrow you'll get part 2, which is the final hour. John has a little movie that you might have heard of coming out on Thursday called Thunderbolts. So with that being said, let's just get right into this interview.
I couldn't get into the Snyder DC universe. I wanted to.
You'll like me. You'll like me.
The casting of everything. I think Cavill was an amazing Superman. I don't think they ever got to let him play Clark Kent, which bothered me. It's like, oh, look, you're Clark Kent, but you're
100%.
Superman Clark Kent. Like, you're not doofy or trying to fit in at all. You're just really good looking in normal clothes.
No.
Loved Affleck as the older kind of torn up Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude, this is amazing. Let's give him his own story. We never got that. Gal, I think she was amazing as Wonder Woman. Really liked the first movie, but they kind of fell to the same problem I feel a lot of female-driven films run into. And I use this example. This is kind of the perfect example of it. You know that scene where she's in the trench with everybody else and she's going to lead the charge against the enemies? It's rainy and dirty and all the allied forces like haven't showered in weeks and like they're covered in mud. Even the guys she's with. She comes out of that trench and it is a L'Oreal commercial. She looks stunning. She is absolutely gorgeous and she's going into battle. And it's like, wait, they just are so focused on making her look beautiful.
Right.
Had they done that scene where if she would have clawed through the mud, come out, been caked in mud, and you just see her eyes through all the guck with a sword and a shield starting to charge at the Nazis, I'd have crap myself if I saw it. I'm like, oh, dear God, this demon's coming at us. Like, show her as something horrifying. Like, oh my God, we should be terrified right now, as opposed to wait, no, don't shoot. She's very good looking. Don't you think so? I mean, you know, we could use her for the Third Reich. She could be. I mean, imagine those jeans. The Fuhrer would be so pleased. Like, yeah, as opposed to like, I see it now. We don't run away. It's a demon. Like, if you had something more like that. It's like we get into that trap of like, well, don't make her look weak. So how does she come across? She looks weak. Don't make her look dirty in that. So she looks infallible in a way. Whereas if you just let them be dirty and let them be human.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she's covered in blood and mud and she's like, I'm going to go kill some more Nazis. Then I would be crawling out of the trench going, let's do this. I'm inspired. And you also know that it's like, okay, well, she's going to fight Doomsday and Superman. Like, man, I feel bad for you guys. This woman's coming for it. She's going to crush you.
Yeah.
But those weren't direct adaptations for comic books. And I feel like that's where it kind of gets loose with Snyder. But when he does exact, like, man, you've got the comic. I think he's one of those guys that he dials it in and he's just got it there. I'm a massive Batman fan. It might probably be my favorite character. Actually, it is. Like so many people. I'm close to, I have almost everything ever written. Like I've been collecting and I have, short of like anything that's really new, because it's just hard to keep up. But, you know, you get into like the 2000s till then, I have pretty much everything from the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age. Just been collecting more. If I find something I don't have, I love going to comic book stores and be like, yeah, I think I have it. And like, oh, really? You have this? And I'm like, yeah, no, I have this. And they're like, oh, dude, you have it. And I've had a few times they're like, do you have this? And I'm like, I don't. I'll take it. And yeah, it's fun. And I love the character in so many aspects to him. I loved the Reeves Batman. You know what made me happiest about that is we finally got the detective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big thing with that, yeah.
Like, yeah, I want him figuring stuff out. He's as smart as Sherlock Holmes. Like, yeah, we've seen some badass fights from him. I thought Affleck had the best fight, in my opinion. Like, you watch him and Batman, Superman, that was like straight out of the Arkham games. Good job to, I think it was Damon Caro and Wayne Douglas who put that together. I was like, man, that's perfect. But it's like, I want to see him be smart.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the animated movie Doom, Justice League Doom. I love that it's who's attacking the Justice League? I am. Like it's Batman's contingency plans to neutralize the Justice League, and they've been warped to kill them. And it's like, well, of course, who can take out the Justice League? Batman can.
Mhm.
I like everything about that. I love it because he's got the chip on his shoulder, but he's really smart the entire time. And I think that's one of the best things about him. It's like he's not just somebody brawling.
That's what I loved about BVS, seeing Batman with prep time, like getting the kryptonite, doing everything he did to break down the kryptonite and make that spear, giving him the prep time to have an opportunity against Superman versus just not having that at all. Because like I've always said, if Batman has enough prep time, there's close to none that can defeat him if given the right amount of time.
I think where my chip on my shoulder lies with that, I do think Zack Snyder did an amazing job with that whole fight scene. But come on, you know that as a direct take from The Dark Knight Returns. You can't start with what makes something so beautiful of an end. Because in the comic, Frank Miller's comic book, it's like he shows up and he's like, Clark, I'm going to be the one person, the one human being that kicks your ass. And you have all this history between the two of them. Superman standing is like kind of this patriotic symbol, and Batman returning to the pinnacle of vigilantism, putting on the suit as an old man, giving two yahoos about, it's me trying not to swear, two yahoos about what he's going to do to him. He's like, I'm taking you down. And he grinds him away. And it's fantastic. With them being like, oh, no, we're going to start here. You lose all the history that makes them such a beautiful, complicated relationship. To me, in these superhero movies, sometimes I get it kind of just kills me. And it might be the same thing for you guys. You've been reading comics and it's like, no, there are relationships we're skipping here because we always try to focus on the romantic relationship.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, they love this person and this. What kills me about the X-Men movies is that we've always focused on Wolverine and Jean Grey.
Right.
Okay, give me Cyclops and Wolverine. I want that relationship because that relationship is badass. Two guys like, look, she loves me. I get it. There's a thing. It's not happening. I'm the leader here. Yeah, I'm kind of a dick, but give me my just dues. I am a badass. Talking about Cyclops here.
Right.
X-Men 97, I think, redeemed it in the first episode.
I was just about to say that.
Right?
Like,
Right.
finally we have a badass Cyclops. Like, James Marsden, I love him, but we never got Scott's time to shine as the leader.
They never gave him his dues at all. I was happy his name was announced for Avengers Doomsday. I'm like,
very
okay, did you watch X-Men 97? Can we please get that? If we don't get that and they put a new Cyclops out there, trust me, I want that guy to be 6'1", white, looking a lot like this guy, so I can be like,
there we go.
I want to double this guy. Let me do this action.
Yeah.
We're going to do it right.
Awesome.
Right.
We're going to do it like the cartoon because that was, and it should be that, but it's a very complex relationship as well because they were perfect teammates. They always relied on each other. They didn't necessarily like each other. And I think one of my favorite things in the comics or the stories is after Wolverine dies. I hope you guys have read it. If you haven't, it's definitely worth checking out. And anybody that's watching that hasn't read it, it's worth checking out. Is Cyclops is trying to figure out how to honor Wolverine. And you're dead. How do I honor you? And it's like, we didn't get along. It wasn't this. I don't know how to do this. And he's going through different things where he's looking at the students. He's looking at the danger room. He's looking at certain situation. He's like, it wasn't, it was we were definitely involved with each other, but what is the feelings that I have? How do I express these the best? Right. I love it because it ends with him in a Canadian backwoods bar with a bunch of mutant hating rednecks. And he goes in and he orders a drink and they're like, hey, Mutie, get the F out of here. And he's, without even removing his visor, he's like, takes the drink and he goes, okay, Logan. And he beats the crap out of him because he can fight. And then when he's done, he just that's exactly how he knows to honor Wolverine. He's like, let me go beat up some racist assholes. And it's like, oh my God, this is perfect. And it's the relationship we've never got. And it kills me. I'm like, let's see this. Let's see that relationship between Batman and Superman. Let's see those. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship every time. These are great relationships. I am grateful on that. We did get that with Cap and Bucky.
Yeah.
Right.
And of course I'm biased on that, but
being Bucky, yeah.
It's, a little bit. I'm biased. I am definitely, you will notice I am biased towards a lot of things like that, but we did get that. We got a relationship that's I am going to do these things because, you're my friend, you're my brother. And I think kind of in a way our society's even going, I think guys kind of need that to be reminded, like, no, you have each other. You have the guy, going back to 300. You have the Spartan to your right, or is it to the left? Like the Spartan on your left, and it's like there, and it's like you can rely on those people, and it's okay. You can stand strong and tall, but you're not standing strong and tall alone. There are people out there doing it with you.
Right.
Honestly, at least it feels like as of recently, there's some people that are always trying to use one another for personal like gain, and like it's kind of hard to tell like who is your real friend. But when you do meet those people, you know right away.
Oh
And
yeah.
like you said, there isn't enough of that going around today.
Yeah, and I mean, in the comic world, you actually bring up a great relationship that kind of carries that through. When you meet somebody, you kind of have that. You take it to Sam and Bucky. Sam is literally all Bucky's got left.
Yeah.
Steve is gone, and it's like he has that relationship with Sam. And again, it could totally come from being biased. I take it everybody seen Captain America.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just got the chance to see it the other night. I love Anthony. He's awesome. This is the only scene that I really knew that happened because I was on set that day. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's no stunts, but they were there and they're like, "Hey, come hang out." So I got to
Right.
hang out when
That's
they're
awesome.
shooting Bucky's little cameo in that. And I love that scene. You had two things going on there. Mackey's really doing this movie with nobody that he's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in this for so long. So you have Sam going through what he's going through, and then he turns and there's Bucky. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's
A familiar
good to see a
face.
friend.
Yeah.
And then in the reality of it too, you have Mackie turning and seeing Sebastian and being like, damn,
Yeah.
it is good to see you. Because those two guys, they're amazing together. I love them. They're
Yeah.
great friends. And, they never cease to crack me up. And it was a good moment in there. I was like, this is good. This is good.
I even really enjoyed too. Little callback to it at the end. Where he's like, "Bucky's full of shit. I should have taken that serum." Like it was even like just to
Yeah.
add to it even more. Like it's just like
Can you move the seat forward? No. Like, yeah.
I really hate
It's
you.
not as coherent in those things. And they feed to each other perfectly. It's amazing. And I love that. Man, Bucky's full of shit. Like, it's easy when you have a robotic arm and you're a super soldier to say these things and like great pep talk, but I'm fighting a Hulk now.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's great seeing Bucky and Sam, but also Sam just fill into that leader spot. Sam is worthy of leading the Avengers. Sam is worthy of being Captain America. He's not Steve, but he's not trying to be.
I think Mackie does Sam really well. I loved Sam in the comics and I love what he's done. And I think my favorite moments that have always been, and this was kind of a part that I was like, oh, they missed the mark on this in Cap 4, in my opinion. Sam, he counsels veterans.
Yeah.
Ross he's as bad of a veteran with PTSD as Steve, Bucky, and the Punisher. I mean, Sam is kind of their personal hero. And I didn't feel like we got enough of that side of him. That's like, what makes him, because he's a Cap without any super soldier serum, what makes him good? It's that his ability to be able to like, no, I get it. I understand it. I was sleeping in the dirt. This is what it's like. You feel this here. I love that that's how they started it with Steve, of like, your bed's too soft. You don't get this. And there's moments that he has with Bucky who is like, no, let me do this for you here. We can do this. And I felt like with Ross, it's like, yeah, they're never really standing on the same side. But if for him to sit there and kind of counsel him, and if we could have gotten that, I've just been like, yes, this is where Sam's in it. Like, let him do his thing here.
See, that's what I loved about Falcon and Winter Soldier, especially with Sam trying to coach Carly multiple times. Like, especially in the finale, like trying to like talk her down each time. And then just the speech at the end too.
To me, it's just what makes him a great Captain America. It really is the thing of like, well, hold on, wait, let's work through the subjects here. It's what sets him apart differently than other people that have taken the helm of Captain America. I mean, Steve wins by losing. If you look at every Captain America movie, he loses at the end.
Loses everything.
He's saving the day. He wins by
Yep.
losing. He saves the day by putting himself into the ice. He is crashing the helicarrier, and he is not going to fight Bucky, and it's going to stall that out so they can go in. He loses that personal battle.
Wow.
Civil War, he becomes a fugitive to save everybody and do
Yep.
the right thing. He always does that, and it's what made it so great. So you need a little bit of that in all the Captain Americas of like, this is for the greater good. But then what you kind of give to Sam is that he's that counselor and that he can sit there and he's like, no, because it's lonely and you get back to society and people don't know what you've been through. They don't want to accept it like that. They're like, hey, come on, you know what? Oh, toughen up. You were big bad soldier and now you're here and like you hear a can crash and you start to cry, like, come on, what's like, people don't get it. They haven't been through that mission. They haven't sat there. And he's like, no, but we get this and we will get through this. We will do this.
Mhm.
And I think there's just something too that's like, let's lean into this more. It's something I think everybody can relate to because it's part of that real part of what happens every day in the world.
Right.
Going a little bit into speculation area here, like that's why I'm so excited for Doomsday and Mackie being Cap in Doomsday is if we do get an evil Steve Rogers or Hydra Cap, seeing the person he's looking up to trying to in a
That he
way
has to take
become,
down now.
but
Take
now
down.
he has to tear that apart. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I'm not even giving you a spill here. I'm not breaking any. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not over there, so I really know nothing on it. But part of me is like, I mean, I theorize. I read the comics and I'm starting to theorize too. It's like, okay, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to just, do prosthetics and the mask and Robert Downey Jr. play a completely different character? Or is he going to be the Stark that turns into Victor Von Doom from the comic books?
Right.
Is he going to pull Steve and are we going to get Hydra Cap? Are we going to get, and since I am not over there, I will just openly say this. If I'm watching this in the theater and being supportive and so happy for our actors that we've worked with for years, just proud of the work they're doing because I know they're going to keep crushing it. And if I see a Hydra Cap versus Bucky and Sam, and I'm not in that fight, there's gonna be a lot of Hungarian swearing very loud in that theater. I'm just gonna just get up, walk out, and like I had to see it twice because I couldn't watch that because I didn't get the chance to do it. And I hope somebody will do it justice as far as that goes. But it's like that's a dreamless thing to be. I mean, how awesome! And we kind of did that in Falcon and Winter Soldier. We had Sam and Bucky versus Walker, but to take it a step further,
that was awesome.
Almost where you're like, you're fighting Hydra Cap. The line comes from the What If Zombies episode where Bucky throws the shield, he cuts zombie Steve in half, and he goes, I guess that's the end of the line. But now imagine Hydra Cap, and he puts that's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, damn.
briefly talk about Doom. Like I've been reading the books of Doom, trying to just get a little bit more into Doom's backstory for what they possibly could be doing at Doomsday. And with that, like, there's such a great backstory here. I hope we get that. But like you said, they got to do something to change Robert's face a little bit. If it looks like Robert, I feel like it's gonna take me out of it. Like I need to see Victor, not Tony.
My giant fan side of me completely agrees. He's an amazing actor. He's a phenomenal human being. Let the man do his craft and be something completely different. I have the other theory, though, that because they led so much into from Deadpool Wolverine, which how fun was that? Like, thank you for all the fan service.
Such a great movie.
Oh, just amazing. I feel like it'll be something of like the multiverse and the key figure, and they're looking for, it'll be another Stark. And it's like, well, we need him. And they just happen to get the absolute worst.
The worst one.
Oh, holy crap. We were looking for Tony. We were looking for the hero. And what do we get? We get God Doom. Shit. Like, and I kind of felt like that's where it should have gone after Endgame, to be honest, because Kang is a threat, and I get everything that kind of alluded to that and what they were building up to. Really? We're going to go from Thanos to Kang? If you go from Thanos to Doom, and that's now what they're doing, we just went up a heavyweight division. We got a reincarnated Mike Tyson, and he's pissed off. He's ready to go 12 rounds with whoever's in the ring with him, and it's going to be amazing. I'm stoked that we're seeing Doom and how that's going to play out.
So fun for Doom.
So that's not too, and that was one of my concerns originally with Spider-Man 4. I was like, how are we gonna have Spider-Man fight Doctor Doom and then go back to a straight level movie if we get a straight level movie after that? Because I've been wanting to see Spider-Man and Daredevil team up against Fisk forever, but it's just like, how do you have Spider-Man fight Thanos in space, defeat him, but then fight Doom, defeat him, and then go fight Fisk and possibly lose? That's one thing.
Break a sweat to that, you know?
I'm so curious to see how they're gonna do that.
Knowing their work and the minds that are behind it, I am very optimistic that that's going to come together and like, okay, we're going to get something cool. Like, I think this will be worked out smartly. It's, again, I know there's so many people at the moment. We only have Doom, and it's like, okay, this could be awesome and intense, and I'm not sure where it's going to come from. And because I thought I heard one article saying that it's like, well, they're all fighting Doom.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, holy crap. Each team is going to be fighting Doom. I can't imagine they're going to be fully unified. There was a thing that came out, I think, today that Mackie said there will be a cliffhanger at the end of it.
Yeah.
And and my honest thoughts were like, all bets are off. Nobody's safe. And I'm like, they better not kill Bucky. No, we need a solo project for the man. Come on, let
Absolutely.
him have his story. I
Absolutely.
think everybody'd love that. Just as like, oh, I want to do that job, but I'm like, he's my favorite Marvel character. I mean, for a lot of obvious reasons, but he's really like reading everything as well. I just love how they've done the character, and I love what Sebastian puts into it, and it's just he's trumped Deadpool. Deadpool was my former one, and
Wow.
Gambit. So
Yeah. The character's so compelling, especially in the Captain America movies. Seeing its own story with him would be amazing. It brings me to a question though. In the stunt when you were fighting John Walker and you got the shield thrown at you, did that feel good a little bit? Like, I should be holding on to this a little more.
we had played with him getting up with the shield and making more of the moment, like the moment as he stands,
Yeah.
he has the shield. And then it's like right as you think something's going to kick off, then Walker comes in like a bull in a china shop and just wham. But if you look at it, every time Bucky's ever had the shield, he fights really well with the shield.
Yeah.
Anytime he fought against Steve when they were 2-on-1 against Iron Man, he fights really well with the shield. And I know people have mentioned him, like, well, in the comics, he became Captain America, and I loved him as Captain America. I have the entire Ed Brubaker is, I think, hands down, one of my favorite authors. I mean, he created the Winter Soldier. I'm so grateful for that. But like his other storylines too that we have, yeah, he's just a phenomenal author. Yeah, well, I mean, him as Captain America, I loved it because he was able to be a little more gritty, but
Yeah.
where will it fit and work in this universe? I mean, if they find a really creative way to do it, then that'd be cool. But there is something about me that loves Winter Soldier is like, no, he's in the shadows. He's in the
His own
espionage.
thing. Yeah.
He's always working another plan.
I was gonna say, going along with Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Bucky with the shield. I love when John throws the shield past Bucky and the Bucky just catches it perfectly. Anytime any projectile is thrown at Bucky, his senses are always perfect for it.
Yeah.
Like anytime a knife or a shield. So I'm so excited for Thunderbolts to see if there's any more of that.
Thank you for noticing that.
You're welcome.
There's the shield, and
The
then
handoff.
there's one of my favorite fights in Falcon and Winter Soldier was one right before Lamar passes. And if you haven't watched Falcon and the Winter
Right.
Soldier, and sorry, that's a spoiler, Lamar dies.
Yep.
Also, if you haven't watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier to this point, come on, it's streaming. Go watch it. Like, why are you watching? I mean, like, why are you watching the episode with me on it if you haven't watched that one? Come on, that's half the fun of it. But I loved that at the beginning of Falcon and Winter Soldier, there was a school shooting that had happened right before we had begun production. And it
Right.
was like, it's very socially kind of a touchy subject, so no guns and no knives. And I'm like, okay, I understand the sensitivity that needs to be done to this. Do you know who these characters are?
Right.
Probably the greatest assassin in history with like triple kill counts. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the man in the comics killed Hitler and Kennedy. Come on. What I kind of loved of where we got to go with it was actually harder to justify that for Sam and Walker. With Bucky, it made sense because it got to the point of he doesn't want to be the Winter Soldier anymore. He's trying to figure himself out. So we always try to do a lot of the fights with complete reserve.
Right.
Like he doesn't want to go too far, but we never wanted to make it heavy-handed as far as that go. I mean, there's the nightmare flashback sequence, which was so much fun to do. Where it's just like, I'm gonna take out as many of these Hydra guys as I can with style.
Yeah.
But when the knife gets thrown, he catches it, and it was a single-edged knife as opposed to his daggers, and he rolls it back, and we did everything in a defensive way. He throws Flag Smasher to the ground, does the no-handed flip. Sebastian did that on the first take
Wow.
Awesome.
perfectly.
Wow.
Just for the record, he did it. Boom, boom, wham, threw it. Like, didn't actually throw it, but
Yeah.
did the whip for it. And he's like, "How is that?" And I'm like, "I guess we're doing some for safety, but keep going because that was perfect." I mean, it's exactly what you see. He nailed it the first time. There are pictures online of us practicing in a Starbucks, by the way. It was great. And he does that, but then he throws it and he hits it right next to the guy's head. And the whole time, the narrative of that fight we're going with is, one, you can't dethrone the king. Two, don't do that. Don't make me cross that line.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to be that guy anymore. What I think I can safely say heading into Thunderbolts is that I think he's found balance where it's like, okay, there's the Winter Soldier and then there's James Buchanan Barnes. And through Falcon and Winter Soldier, it was a battle of like, well, who am I? Like, where am I at? I don't want to be the assassin. I don't want to hurt people. But if you look back to World War II, James was one of the best snipers in the Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
I think by the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, he kind of realized I can live here. And I think going into Thunderbolts and what we will see is that he has found a balance between the two. And in my opinion, a James Barnes with all the powers and abilities of the Winter Soldier at his command is getting to be as lethal as he can be, with, you know, thought and rationale to it. Like it'll be in there of like, I can take all this out. I can disrupt everything here. I can kick the crap out of you and you and you and you. But where are the pieces starting to see? And we're starting to see a little bit of that very clever espionage thinking develop a little bit as well into it. And I think that's what I can say safely.
Say, I'm so excited to see. I know it's gonna be a small stint, less than a year, as a congressman. I just want to see how much Bucky hates being a congressman. I can't see Bucky wanting to stay in that long after being there. I feel like Bucky's gonna be the new leader of Thunderbolts, but I don't know.
There's these things called NDAs.
There you go. There you go.
Where literally, if the mouse and Marvel see this and I say anything, they'll have me, I don't know, deported or killed. I'm a citizen. They must find a way to find me deported.
Yeah.
I'll probably get a call from the amazing and awesome head of Marvel security. His name is Barry, and that man works so hard, and he is such a great person. And I'd probably get a phone call from him going, dude,
Come on.
seriously. We've been friends for a long time. Again, he's great. I would hate to get an upset call, just like, John. And to be like, I'm sorry. If I take you out to dinner, is that going to make up for it? And he's like, well, we got to do a few other things first. Like, oh, okay, sorry. So I like to keep Barry happy. I like to stay friends with him. I think that's going to be an interesting journey, though, because it is, you know, we were talking about Superman and Clark Kent not really getting to be Clark Kent. And what you're kind of going to get to see is not that it's a duality of just like Bucky being Congressman Bucky is trying to find that way to fight in the light. Whereas like, you know, Batman can do everything in the night. Bruce Wayne does everything by day. It's like, you know, not that he's even hiding it, but what can Bucky do? What can he help with? What can he contribute to this? And I think that's definitely an interesting journey into it. I kind of love that about him and Sam scene as well, when it's like, oh, he's still campaigning. So he hasn't quite got it yet. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see that just the political fallout and conversations that I think will take place, that might take place in Thunderbolts. I was not present for those days because they were just dialogue, and I didn't get to read the entire script or that version of it, which had certain things of it. I read one version of the script, enough to understand the fights. Then we would always get the updated versions. I think it's going to be a great side to it. I think one of the things that, you know, with a powerhouse cast like that and our director, Jake, I think we're really going to get the character development that we want and that we need in great stories. And that's one of the things that makes me so excited to see the completed movie from what it is. It's because, like, I think it's all there. And if you look at Jake's past work, like if you watched Beef, he crushed that show. I loved his episodes of Skeleton Crew. I've got a whole different opinion on how Star Wars is going and stuff, but I really enjoyed Skeleton Crew. I'm like, okay, cool. We got back to like Star Wars and Goonies. Like, this is great. I love this. But he's got a movie, Frank and Robot and Paper Towns, and you look at them. Yeah. The man has a vision, and he knows what he wants and to go there and to get there. And I think that's one of the things is not lost with this at all.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you in Thunderbolts and to see the stunts from Bucky, because to be honest, I had a question about that, and that was in the trailer we see the van flip, and it's a two-parter question with that. And I mean, Are you Bucky running up, like putting the arm up, and is the van flip practical, or did they just replace it with CG? Because I feel like that van flip very easily could have been practical, but I could be wrong.
I will, and again, it's that me being careful on what I'm saying on this here, but I can absolutely safely say this. That van went flying through the air and it was freaking awesome. That's an armored truck that flew through the air. So when you see that thing flying through the air, that armored truck went flying through the air. It was badass.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was like,
That's cool.
oh, holy crap, that's amazing.
That's what I was hoping to hear. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the cool things was how much is actually done very practically on this film, which now you have those things of like, well, is it CG or is it practical? And even as a stunt guy, you get to do the practical stuff. It's like, awesome. Like this is going to be real. Cause there just still is that it's like shooting digital and in film. There's still just a different feeling between watching a movie that's film and digital. Just, it has a certain depth to it. And I think when you do things that are real, it just has a certain depth and weight to it. I like that moment of the van flip and everything for as much as I can say, and probably after the movie comes out, I can probably say a lot more. Another great thing is like, one of the things I gotta be honest, I love doubling Sebastian because he's so game to do it all.
Wow.
And he's a very busy person. So it's like getting him for training, but when he gets into it, he's into it and he wants to do it. And I am not a stunt guy that's like, it's like, well, I should do everything. I think that's kind of stupid. No, like part of my job is getting him ready and, definitely doing the things that it's like, okay, if you die during this, that's not good. Or you get injured, we're hosed. And I'm very fortunate that he trusts me with his safety enough that if I tell him something, I'm like, this is not safe for you. He listens and he's like, I won't do this. And if anybody ever tries to make him on any job, like, well, we really want you to do this because we're seeing your face. And then if he looks to me and it's like, I don't feel comfortable with you doing this, he just is simply like what he said. So figure out how we're going to do it and it's nice. It's wonderful when you have somebody that has your back like that as well, because, my job is to have his back. And, but he, on so much of this, there was a lot that, performing wise, I feel like I was riding the bench. I'm like, dude, do this. And he's like, you gonna do this at all? I'm like, I don't need to. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
Like, get in there, do this. You've nailed this every single time. And he was like, this, and I'm like, everything's fine. Everything's great. I'd tell you, he's like, me, I'd tell you if it was like, nah, you gotta do this right. This is like, this doesn't look good. Do this. But there's a lot that's him just crushing it. And I was super proud of him. And it's like, it's one of those things that makes me want to be like, okay, I want more with the character, more with him, so we can push like higher and farther and do things. Because I think there's so much more that he has to offer in general. I think just even that story, it was up for an Oscar. Let him really dive into it, and then let us really push to what is in Bucky's Winter Soldier wheelhouse of how far that can go. That's just me, kind of the romantic side of like, I love this character, getting to do this, working with a great actor, because he really is a great guy. I just never get sick of putting on the arm, especially since they've made it progressively more comfortable. If it was still like the earliest arms, I'd be like, no, I don't need to put that thing on. That's a lot of sweat and lube, and it's just a very weird feeling. The newer arm is like, oh, I put it on in the morning and I leave it on all day because I'm just like, nah, it's really comfortable. There's nothing inconveniencing about it.
Yeah.
I'd say I always remember Sebastian talking about interviews like having to put so much lube on his arm just to get it into the older ones.
He says, I gotta get in there.
So the first arm that James Young, who is now a director, and he's awesome, good friends, he's amazing, kind of set the bar and the rules of things. The arm they wore in the first one was actually 2 pieces. It was 2 hard pieces. They don't exist anymore. Not one of them survived. They are all destroyed. They don't exist. Then brings in the second iteration, which was just the giant rubber sleeve.
Yeah.
That one, you needed to like shave your arm and put a lot of KY on the arm. And then it's just, you had to slip it all the way in there. You think that sounds like the weirdest part, But as you go throughout the day, you sweat, and as you fight, the KY and the sweat, there's no hand. It's the rubber. It's
Yeah.
the leather glove. There's no fingertips. A lot of times they just digitally put those on. There are little caps they can put on, but it's just your hand in there, which is actually kind of nice. You have more dexterity,
Mhm.
but you have this separation here where the KY and sweat come out. So when you're fighting people and you throw a punch, they can get this whip of warm KY and sweat all on their face. And you're just like, I'm so sorry. And they're like, it's okay. It's okay. Can we drain that thing? It's like, I crack up because, yeah, friends I'd fight with that. I'm like, I'm dying laughing. And I'm like, I warned you, it's there. And they're like, no, no, I get it. And, when we did the Sam Bucky Walker fight, Justin Eaton, who is doubling Wyatt on that, Justin Eaton's just guy's a beast of a performer. He's amazing. And he comes up to me and like right before we're about to hit into the section that's just really the two of us, and he's like, "That arm sweating like the old one?" And I was like, "No, there's a silk sleeve inside that actually kind of absorbs the sweat, and it doesn't sweat as much. So you should get minimal sprayage." And he's like, "Awesome." And then we beat the crap out of each other.
There you go.
As you do with your best friends, you know?
Don't have to rush you or anything. Just want to round off a couple questions that we have.
You guys are all good. I feel like we got right into it and just talking. I'm like, I just might have questions. Sorry, I'm enjoying talking to you guys.
Yeah, I am too. That's
Yeah.
we had a structure that we were like, all right, this is how we're gonna do it, and I've been way more happier with how this turned out than how I had planned it in my head. So,
Glad I'm having fun. We're all talking about things we're passionate about, so that's always nice. Sorry, I sidelined your structure.
No,
It's just
no,
you're
no.
totally
again,
fine.
it's like you start talking about comics,
you're
and I'm
good.
like, this.
It's us every single week. We have we're like, all right, we got this to talk about, and we talk about 12 other things, but not even what we wanted to talk about. It's just the name of the game. Nick, if you want to start, I'll let you start off.
Yeah,
with yours.
I wanted to ask, how did you get into being a stuntman?
There's a joke with that. The answer is always, well, I kind of fell into it. It's a dad joke, but
There you go.
my entire life I've done martial arts. Just always, it's been something that is one of the most defining characteristics. Even as I get older, I don't put on a gi to train as much. I haven't really. The only time I really do is when I go back to where I'm from, and I go to my old school and I put on a uniform for more traditional, like ceremonial type things. Otherwise, I wear like gym pants and a t-shirt. No, that's not true. I put on a gi now. I've been like trying to go consistently to a jujitsu class, so I put on a gi there. But otherwise, like it's just a part of who I am, and I've realized like, oh, it's one of those things of like, how do I describe myself? Well, this is one of those things that kind of perfectly describes it. Growing up, I'd watch these things, and I was very fortunate that at the time, a guy that was like the Michael Jordan of martial arts, because I was competing on the national and world circuit.
Oh, wow.
And there was a guy named Mike Chat. And I loved how perfect he was. I mean, at that time, to just mention names, there were so many amazing martial artists in like the mid to late 90s. Mike Chat was one. John Valera, who you've probably seen in so many films as a stunt guy, and Mike Chat just had this particular style, and I had the chance to meet him, and I'm like, I want to be like you. I want to train how you train and stuff like that. What do I do? And Mike just goes, okay, go home, videotape your form, and mail it to me. Yes, this is old enough that they were VHS. If the light's shining and you can't see the grays, no, they're all there. They're all there. Yep. The ground hits a little harder these days, but so I did that, and I kept doing that. Years later, I ended up actually helping him. Like I was captain of the team, coaching it, and like competing for him and teaching for him. And one of our teammates was Taylor Lautner, who
That's awesome.
was on Twilight, and so I knew him since he was 9 years old.
Wow.
And we were always and then Mike Chat was one of the Blue Power Rangers. So we were always around entertainment, and I was in college, and I was, competing and fighting and loving every minute of it. And I realized, oh my God, I can't make a living doing this. There is no money to be made in fighting. And even today, be honest, there really isn't. Like the top fighters, they should get paid so much more, and they don't.
No.
And especially when I was doing it, like 2 months after I retired from competition, Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin had a fight on, I think it was TNT at the time for the Ultimate Fighter, and it changed the fighting game forever. And I loved that fight. I didn't go back to competing though. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm retired. And I moved to Los Angeles, and I was like, I'm going to be an actor. And then I kind of got into it, and I'm like, I don't want to be an actor, but I love the entertainment industry. It's like I like acting and I love performing. You have to be as a stunt performer, because you still have to act.
Right.
And I don't mind talking to that. But there's the business side to the art side for acting. I don't have that in me. It's not my game. And you need that. You need that to be successful. It's a whole game that I can't even go into the details of, but there's plenty of people way smarter than I am that talk about it. But I did realize that I'm like, oh wait, but I can still do this stuff that I love. And I got to lean into that, and it's like, okay, well, no, this is great. I can still work in something that I think I like, that I absolutely love. And I can do this. And as it's gone on, it's shown me other aspects of the industry that I absolutely love and have kind of transferred into. But that was really it, is I just started out as I call us a NASCAR brat, because that was the martial arts circuit. And there's so many of us that from today end up being stunt guys. And it was just one of those things of like, it's a lot of skills. I have a certain set of skills that are not applicable to any day job ever. Like my college degree used to hang in my bathroom, and I think that's the most use I ever got out of it. It's just, like, okay, I know a lot of martial arts. I'm a 6th degree black belt in my base style. I specialize in 2 Japanese sword styles. I'm exceptionally proficient with knives and firearms. Really, where do you go in to be like, yeah, so starting salaries, like, where do you go? I'm like, do you know Excel? What? I excel at these skills. No, do you know Excel? No. I don't think this is the right job for you. So I'm grateful that things worked out to where I have a career where I get to put all these random weird talents to non-hurtful uses. Because there are ways to use those skills that are definitely different. And I've had jobs like that. I was a private security contractor before I was in stunts, and that created some serious crazy stories. But it's way more fun to get fake shot at. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I fell into stunts. It was that. It was like, this is great.
Do you have any movie where, like, when you got it, you're like, something that really was like a turning point for you, where it was like, I could really do this now?
Like, I think I always knew that, like, once I finally started getting jobs, even those jobs that are like, oh, is that a movie? And I'm like, yeah, I think it exists online someplace, or at least on someone's hard drive that never did anything with it. I love those things. I think one of the first stunt jobs that I had, I was actually an extra on, you guys remember Bratz Dolls?
Yeah.
I was an extra in that movie. And one day, I didn't realize I was signed up to be an extra. And one day I was just flipping around on set, because they had these different cliques in the movie, and I was part of the martial arts clique. And the camera started following me as I was flipping around, and I finished, and it was just like, oh, I'm sorry, I was just bored. I can't sit still, ADD, sorry. And this guy comes over to me when he's like, hey, was that you flipping around? And I'm like, oh crap, am I in trouble here? And he goes, like, yeah, it was. I apologize if I was doing anything that I shouldn't have been doing like this. He goes, oh, no, you're good. So what's your deal? Like this. And he was talking to me, and his name was Mike Long, and he was the stunt coordinator. And he's like, well, come with me for a minute. And he's talking to me. He's like, there's a fight in this movie. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the stunt coordinator. Like, this is awesome. And he's like, puts me next to the guy, and he goes, yeah, you think you could double him? And I look at the guy, and I'm about a foot taller and probably about 60 pounds bigger than the guy that they had as this. I mean, if you watch the movie, I'm the only high school student with stubble. But I was like, I don't think you would buy me for him. And he's like, yeah, I was worried about that. You think you could teach him how to do a fight? I was like, oh yeah, no, wait, I can do that all day long. He's like, great. So kind of my first stunt, I got paid under the table because they couldn't put me on contract. I think back on it now, I'm like, they totally could have put me on contract.
Yeah.
Like, it should have been. But I actually ended up choreographing this fight between the two actors and training them, and they both did everything start to finish. And my first stunt job in that way was kind of like, oh, I'm the choreographer for this film.
Mhm.
And it's a goofy, stupid, fun little fight. I mean, it kind of fits with the movie. And from that point, they just kind of kept me with stunts, and I got to move pads, and I was still getting paid as an extra, but I was doing that. And I'm like, this is great though, because I'm getting to learn. I'm meeting other stunt people. Some of them I'm still friends with. There's also, I'm an actor in the film because there was a whole part where they're like, hey, we need people with special skills. And I'm looking around like, I mean, karate. And the lady's like, no, we need people with skills that they suck at. And I was like, I can make it look bad.
Mhm.
And she's like, fine. How are you going to make this look bad? And I'm like, okay, picture this. I've got a stack of boards in front of me. So I focus to the left. I focus to the right. Come back to the center. I scream, raise my hand, drop it down, and I break my hand on the board. She just looks at me. She goes, come with me. We go to the director and do the same thing for him. And he's like, that's awesome. We're putting it in. So we do that. They bring me back and they're like, so that was for the auditions to get into the talent show. I don't know if I want to use it there or if I want to use it in the actual end of the talent show. I was thankfully smart enough that I was like, okay, wait, I got an idea. Because the whole idea is the main villain, Meredith, is supposed to pick talent acts that she could easily beat. And I'm like, well, if that whole thing is that she can easily, beat every other talent that's up here, what if this arm's in a cast and then I do everything with my left arm and then when I come down, I break my left arm? And he sits there for a moment and he just goes, hey, can we get the medic down here? Medic comes running down and they're like, is everything okay? And this he goes, no, everybody's fine. But can you put this guy's arm in a cast? And he's like, what did he do? And he goes, nothing. I just need him in a cast and we don't have one. So I'm in the auditions and then I'm also in the end thing with one arm in a cast and the other arm crippled. And that was like my first stunt job.
awesome.
But I loved every minute of it. And yeah, and then I kind of got thrown in the deep end after that. It was 47 Ronin and doubling Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I thought I had made it after that, and then the year after that, I didn't know what hustling was or anything, so I didn't really work much the next year. Thankfully, I made all the money on 47 Ronin, I could survive, and I'm like, I got to get out there and hustle. I didn't make it. I haven't paid my dues. I haven't done anything. I've got to work at this, and that was what really began I feel like that was definitely where things changed is like, okay, I got to learn how to, my 9 to 5 when I'm not on set is making sure I'm on set.
Yeah.
Yeah. I ended up with some very awesome people that showed me the way on that.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
You were talking earlier when we were talking about comic books and everything. You mentioned that Batman was your favorite or is your favorite hero.
He
and I was just checking. Yeah, I was just checking out your IMDb page, and you're credited as a stunt performer in The Dark Knight Rises. I had this question prepared before this conversation, and you just saying that your favorite is Batman. What was that like, and how much did you do in the movie?
Oh, this is fantastic because The Dark Knight Rises made me internet famous. I'm not even joking. The story's out there. There's been a couple podcasts. This seems to always come up. And there's another stunt guy named Chris Troy. He is unbelievably talented. Such a nice guy. He has a podcast, and he actually, for years, people have been telling me to re-edit the scene because I'm internet famous. If you look up extras that almost ruined a movie, I'm there. So I'm the first thug that Batman jumps down on. And I was so happy that one of my buddies had to come over and be like, dude, I get you're a Batman fan, but you got to stop smiling. You're a bad guy. So I had to stop smiling. And then I got kicked by Catwoman. And Christian Bale and Anne Hathaway were just, man, those two are rock stars. Like they nailed that scene in every rehearsal. It was like, wow, you guys are really professional at this. Like I think Christian Bale memorized a whole 140 beat fight by watching it the first time. And then he's like, I don't got it. And it's like, you just did the whole thing. You got it. Like, but he was just in there, and Anne treats it like a dance, and she was just wonderful to work with. I swear the only two people that have ever picked up those big a fight scenes like that are Bale and Evans. You could probably get a marathon fight between the two of them,
Yeah.
and it'd be like, great, it's going to be a 3-hour where these two, it's going to be a Family Guy, Peter versus the chicken, and they could probably do it. And you'd only have to show it to them once, and then the entire fight would be like, okay, they did that. They improvised that midsection there, but then they found their way back to it. This was incredible. But in the fight, if you look, there's a stunt guy that just falls down at one point. Now, we had done everything on that film practically. The bat that you see in that movie that's flying down the streets, we had a full-size bat hooked to a crane helicopter that landed on the roof, pulled up off the roof, and then swooped down through the streets of LA. It was awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I was geeking out. I literally one night screamed, I love my job, because it was so cool. So in this part where I fall down, what actually happens is there's another stunt performer, and he's got a rifle trained at Batman. Batman checks the rifle and then knocks him out. When he checks the rifle's supposed to shoot, and I get shot, and that's why I fall down. So we've done everything practically, and I come up and I'm like, hey, I don't want to step out of place here, but we've done everything practically, and we never did my gunshot practically. And I kid you not, this was what was said. Hey, in Nolan we trust. I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan. The guy is a legend. Like, it's okay, awesome, absolutely. So I'm in the theater and I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is so cool. I've already seen myself in a few spots. Fight comes up. I see that. I see me take the reaction. Absolutely no gunshot. And I just go, son of a bitch, like in the middle of the theater, very loud. And yeah, it was just one of those things that was like, okay, they didn't have the gunshot. So that's when you see it. That's why Christopher Troy actually, people were like, dude, you should just go in and, like, you know, you can do After Effects and stuff like that. Add the gunshot. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, you know, I just never took the time to do it. And then when Chris Troy, like, we did his podcast, and I was talking, because he and I are really good friends. Like, you know, we were working in the industry together. We've trained together for years. He brings up the story for that. He's like, I want to talk about internet fandom. And I was like, oh my God, you dick. Really? You're going to do this? Like, this is why it's like, you do things with your friends that know you the best. They know exactly where to hit you. And he's like, yeah, no, by the way, I've got a little gift for you. And he played the clip, and the clip is side by side with the gun flash and without. And he's like, yeah, if you look, you actually take the reaction at the right moment too.
Wow.
The gun swings, that's when it would have gone off. You're falling now. And he's like, so there. And I'm like, you know, it was a big budget movie. There's a lot of details that go into that. People are very busy. That said, I got to get beat up by Batman. That was pretty cool. I think Sebastian should play Batman personally, because
cool.
he does dark and look, he's a good looking dude. He's can play dark and brooding. He's got that down, and we know it. But if you watch like other projects, he can be very charming. So I think to get the duality of Bruce Wayne being the, like, you know, billionaire playboy, like charming, playful kind of thing. You know, you think Kevin Conroy in like the animated series type way, and then Batman being Batman. I think yes, I am absolutely biased in hoping that he would do it just so I could be Batman. I am not even going to be shameful. Of that.
I've been saying for years, Sebastian should be Luke Skywalker. He should be recasted as Luke.
Yeah.
Like, he would be perfect as Luke Skywalker.
Do you know how many conversations he and I have had about that?
I bet 100.
Oh, so I mean, literally, there was a moment that I'm like, I'm sure you've seen the picture of you as Luke Skywalker. And again, I specialize in 2 Japanese sword styles. What I competed with was the sword. So give me a lightsaber, and the little kitten is going to go crazy of like, you want to see lightsaber fighting? Get ready. I have been waiting for this moment. I have to date have yet to step foot in the Star Wars universe, and it breaks my heart. I would even just be a stormtrooper and fall over, like getting shot. Like I just want to do it. But then to use the lightsaber, and he then told me, he was like, Mark and I have actually talked about this. Like,
that's awesome.
Not anything official on like
That's
Disney's
so cool.
level in Star Wars, but I guess Mark Hamill's been like, he's a fantastic actor. Let him do it. But then Sebastian, being as awesome as he is, he's like, Mark is still doing the job. I don't want to take the job from him and he's still working. And I'm like, you're not going to beat the original. So it's an interesting duality between the two. But then his other side to it is like, they're not calling.
Yeah.
He's like, I hear it. I'd love to do it. John is drooling because he would love to do it. It would make Anthony Mackie jealous as shit because he loves Star Wars.
Yeah.
And they're just not calling for it, which I'm also kind of like, how
Yeah.
how are we not here? You could even do the expanded universe. We're going so down the nerd hole on this, where it's Luke with like it was spelled like Luuk.
Luke.
Yeah, his
Yeah,
clone.
like
Yeah.
his clone. Do a whole story so there's a turn, so it doesn't have to live so close to Kim. Were those the books?
Yeah, the Heir to the
Like,
Empire. Yeah.
You are my people. I love it. Like anything like that. Like, look, just pick my favorite actor to work with and give him a lightsaber. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. That one's for me. Let me give this one to me. Then I'm retiring. It's never going to get better. It got to be the Winter Soldier and a Jedi. If that would be the case, I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can top it.
What's it like being on fire? Because like one of your photos is you being on fire. What is going through your mind when that is happening?
Fire is one of my favorite stunts to do. It's cathartic and peaceful. I know that sounds crazy, but when you're on fire, so people have kind of the wrong idea of stunts. It's not the cocaine cowboys of yesterday. It's not like, well, what are we doing today? Well, we're going to drive this car through that structure there, and then we're going to jump it over that ravine onto that side. Woo! Okay, let's go. Like, it's not quite that anymore. It's like I got painkillers in the back seat for later. Stunt performers and professionals of the years predecessing my generation did such an amazing job, and why things can get so much bigger and more intense is because we really have made an art out of taking the dumbest, stupidest, craziest thing possible and then finding the safest way possible to do it. That's why I like fire and I say it's cathartic, because when I'm doing a fire burn, all I have to do is burn. And like if I'm fully on fire, burn and hold my breath. But it really is just this. When you're getting dressed and everything, you have your safety team that is hyper focused on, we're going to put your layers on you now. We're getting you dressed. We're doing this. We're going through the numbers. And you make it very clear to productions of like, we're going to do the fire burn. When we are ready to go, we go. There is no waiting. The gel, it evaporates. They've had advancements in gel, like, since the first kind of iterations of it. But, it's like this person's waiting this. We can't wait on it. So cameras have got to be ready, and we're just on hold, getting him ready. So getting dressed, getting everything in, we're there. Okay, you're here, you're covered, you're protected. Applying the accelerant. All right, are we set on all fronts? Cameras rolling, everything. This is all things you're just kind of waiting for this to happen. And they're like, all right, light them up. They light them up. They light you up. And then you just perform in that moment. And when you start to feel it go a little warm, or you reach the end of the point, you then lay down on the ground, usually flat with your arms at your sides. That's the physical signal to, hey, come put me out. Guys come rushing in. They spray it down, and they'll say hot spots, because you can reignite in some spots if the fire doesn't completely go out. So they're communicating to you. And, at that point, like, again, all they got to do is burn. And these people are such amazing professionals, and they've only gotten better with stunt guys like Eric London. He doubles John Bernthal, Punisher. I don't know many. Jason Domenico out in California, probably, like, those two guys when it comes to fire. I don't know if there's anybody that has probably more of a black belt with lighting people up than those guys. They have it to such a freaking amazing art that it's like, when you have somebody like that lighting you on fire, there's no reason to worry at all. Like, they've got every single detail covered and checked, and they are hyper focused into it to where it's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna burn right now, and you get done with it and you're like, oh, this is great. Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking care of me. I'm going home safe. And we did something that looks unbelievably awesome. Yeah, I mean, then there's the shower afterwards where you're doing this and you're like, okay, I am covered in gel. I don't even know how it got there, but we're gonna scrub it a little bit. And you know, you're just cleaning yourself up, or you're waiting to see like, okay, did camera get it? Are we going again? Are we doing things? And you know, I rarely do I think, yeah, we're gonna light them up again or something like this. And you know, if it is, it's camera's fault. But like, usually it's like, no, we got that. And
No.
like even you again, I talk about Jason and Eric, like they're guys that are like, don't just put they have the foresight to be like, don't put one camera on this, get multiple cameras so you have places to cut to, get everything as much as you can. Like they have the map on it, like I said, of the things that they can do. Fire is just it, and I think everybody in the industry, even that like, you know, is not them that does it, they're now looking to these guys to do fire. And because it's just like, wow, you've done something unbelievably exceptional and probably one of the most dangerous things you can do. However, it's really, really safe. Like I think I would probably be more hesitant doing underwater type stunts as opposed to like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, oh, you know, I'm going out and doing this fire burn with Eric, and be like, oh, cool. This will be nice. Like, you know, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do this. But it's like, it's one of those things of like, oh, it's gonna be a great day on set because everything's gonna be so focused in that there's no room for error gets put in there. So yeah, it's cathartic and peaceful, which is not what you would expect from being like. And then you of course get to do the joke, you know, all day long because everybody's gonna say it. It's like, yeah, I'm the hottest stunt guy in Hollywood right now. I'm like,
That makes it worth it. Makes it worth
exactly. And it's like, have you ever seen somebody hotter than I was today? Like, you know, all the dad jokes are coming out because you can't help it. And it's like, you know what? You're on fire. You do it. Go for it.
I'd say I love that you mentioned Eric Linden because I watched his video with Corner Crew when they lit one of the members on fire, and Eric did all that like for them, like rubbing Clinton all of the gel and going through the whole entire process. So I'm glad that you mentioned him because like I loved watching that video and seeing that behind the scenes of like how this is done.
Again, it's been a long time since I've seen Jason and talked to him, and like he ran Action Factory, and I know Eric was a partner in that for a long time. He may still be, I'm not sure. Because I know Jason was also doing amazing things in the world of rigging, but with rigging and the advancements he was doing, he was also getting into, you know, entertainment's it's a niche like this. Rigging comes from rock climbing and from industrial works like shipping and stuff like that. So he was doing things that were groundbreaking, and I think he was actually opening up to industry shows where it's like, no, this is going to be going out to shipping yards and stuff like that. So he may have like happily retired, being rich from his innovations. I mean, he was innovative with fire gel and everything, but you know, they were the same class of fire. So Jason for the longest time had the world record on it, but you know, when you get to that level of it, like somebody like Eric, uh yeah, they excel at it. Like it's amazing. So it's, you know, if I, again, it's one of those things that's like, oh, there's a fire burn in this, I'm probably going to ask a whole bunch of questions just because, you know, if you're working for something like, hey, we're going to do a fire burn. Oh, who's going to do it? Like, especially if it's a coordinator I haven't worked for, I don't know the people as well. Um, you've got to sometimes self-coordinate, because if you don't know, you don't want to get injured, and you don't want to just assume that somebody absolutely knows. I'm very fortunate in my career. I haven't worked for those people. I think back to like the earlier days of things and what I've heard of other stories of, I've been very fortunate. Everybody I've worked for I work for rock stars, and I love it. And it could be one of those things. It's like, you know, I show up like, hey, it's like, yeah, no, this is the fire burn. Oh, cool. Who do we have running this and what are we doing? And it's like, oh, it's this guy, Bob Baxley. I don't know Bob Baxley. Can you tell me more about him? And then I'm probably going to be like, okay, well, I've got this here and this here. I'd love to meet him. I'd love to do some dry runs because it's an individual I don't know, and it could go very wrong.
Mhm.
Where if it's like, you know, I show up and I'm working a show and Dave McCumber's coordinating, and it's like, oh, so it's like this, and then we're gonna light you on fire. And it's like, oh, awesome. Who's doing it? And he's like, we got Eric. And I'd be like, ah, cool. So we'll get to that when we get to that. Like, it doesn't need any, which is nice when you have those professionals. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't need any other thought. Like you're just like, great. When I get there on the day, I know my job is to just burn. He has everything else covered and figured out. I just have to be on fire and do my thing. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's not gonna just be like it's gonna be one of those things of like, oh, you look like you just had a match on your sleeve. It's like, no, he's gonna put you in that comfort space of like, hey, where are you going here? We're going with this. This is what we want to aim for. We're doing this. All right, buddy, you're going up in flames. You set? Yeah, let's rock. And he's not going to let you do anything that he feels is like, well, hold on, like here. You see if that one clip though, I've done like a full body, like completely engulfed. So it's like you get those friends where you get to kind of be like, cool, let's push this. Let's go. Let's do this here. And you don't need to worry because you have somebody that is as dialed in as that. And it's like, great, this is going to make it fun. This is where we can really have fun because we can be safe being completely stupid at the same time.
Awesome.
Was there ever a stunt where you were just like, I don't know about this one, like that really scared you?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it kind of actually leads off where we're talking about the fire. I got to say, the day before this stunt, I was on a pirate ship holding a torch on a dock. We crash through the dock. It explodes. The pirate ship goes into the water. Explosions are happening all over. Parts of the boat are exploding. The boat sails into another pirate ship, and then everything explodes. Yeah, I was totally calm with that. That was like, cool. We're having fun. I literally just had to stand there looking stoic. And so I was like, cool, I'm just going for the ride as crap literally burns and blows up around me. 100% calm, fine, nice, relaxing day, having fun. The day after that, now I have my freediving certification, my scuba diving certifications, anything that can be like I can run water safety. Like I have the certifications for water because I don't like it. I'm the guy that goes to the beach and I keep my happy ass on land because there's sharks in the water. And you know what? They're better in the water than I will ever be. I would rather fight a lion, which is completely irrational, than be in the water with a great white. And they're not even in that 3 feet of water. But water is just, there's something about I like breathing. So, underwater, it's just really hard. So that's why I did those things to get myself into that comfort zone on things. So knowing that and I'd been scuba diving the day before with our water safety team, and they were amazing. Kept me safe. We went and swam a wreck, and it was really, really cool experience to have. So we're doing this the next day, and this is simple. It's a big wide shot looking down. The character I'm doubling, he just floats to the surface, and then these 2 British ships come in and take him prisoner. He's not dead. Spoiler. So I'm tied to the bottom of this tank, though, and it's like, I'm guessing probably about 16 feet, 20 feet deep, and I'm tied down to the bottom. And I know that because it's so wide, my water safety is like, those guys are that way. It's going to take them a minute to get to me. And I'm like, I did all my freediving things. So I know I've got plenty of oxygen in my body. And I thought I felt the double tug on my breather to ditch it, that they were ready to go. So I go here and I go, whoop, and I chucked it. I'm sitting there and I'm, again, if anything snags on this rope, I'm literally tied to the bottom of a deep, deep swimming pool.
Yeah.
Already like, okay, that's fun. But I'm there and I'm being held there and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is good. All right, everything's fine. They're just taking a moment to get set. A little more time goes by and I'm like, okay, so, it takes a little longer than you thought it would, but everything's fine. You have plenty of oxygen in your blood. You're doing good, man. Everything's fine. Just look at the reflections on the top of the water from the sun. It's beautiful. A little more time goes by. I'm like, okay, definitely takes a little longer to get set. Maybe it's a problem with the boats or something, but all is good. When you're start to kind of run out of oxygen, your diaphragm will do this. It'll start to jerk. Your body's telling you, breathe, stupid. And it hadn't started doing that yet. I hadn't started calling myself stupid. So I'm like, okay, your diaphragm hasn't even begun to spasm. It's not trying to breathe. You've got plenty of oxygen in your blood. So you are doing just fine. Everything is good. A little more time goes by. And I'm like, again, you're still here. You're good. And then I feel it release and I start to float to the top. I'm like, okay, here we go. And I just stay calm. I get up to the top. I'm just laying there dead. And at the corner of the pool is the director and my stunt coordinator going, John, are you okay? And I pop my head up. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? What's wrong? And they're like, dude, nobody knew you were going. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
so how long was I down there? And like, you were under for 2.5 minutes. And I was
Wow.
like, which if you learn to static freedive, you can hold your breath for like 4 minutes. If you watch Suicide Squad, when Margaret Robbie is under the water in the Lambo as Batman, her and her stunt double Ingrid Klinig were having freediving competitions. They never once went on oxygen for any of that. I never tell it's Margot or Margaret got her breath hold to like I think 5 minutes, and Ingrid got hers to 5 minutes and 40 seconds.
Crazy.
Those girls are badass.
Yeah.
And so 2.5 minutes, then like a static hold. It's not that bad. It's like, okay, this is good. I'm fine. I'm like, oh, so it'll never be that bad. And it's like, no, dude, but really make sure those are 2 definitive tugs. And because I guess my water safety had been like, guys, are you going? We've had his breather. And they're like, what?
Wow.
So it was just the idea of like, if I'm stuck underwater, this is gonna suck. Like that was probably the thing that psychologically freaked me out the most. And you know, I've had a couple bumps and bruises that are a little more here on sets. Again, we figure out the safest way to do things that are crazy, but I'm very fortunate that I get to be surrounded with some of the best in the world. You know, I've always gone home nice and safe and happy. You know, knock on wood that it keeps going that way. But no, that one, the water one was kind of just the psychological factor of it. I was completely fine. It wasn't even that intense, but there was something of like, just don't let me drown. Let the lion jump into the water. I just don't want to drown. Like, you know, again, it's in there. Great white sharks, octopus. I mean, like, you know, I think octopus are cool, but they grab you, then their tentacles bite you and they pull you down. So they literally drowned you as the beak's pecking at you. There's like, they've got to be the 2 worst ways to die. So the reason sharktopus exists.